Welcome to Echoes of History. I'm Taylor, a military historian specializing in 20th century conflicts. Today, we're unpacking World War II's most iconic antagonists. Joining me is Morgan, my former debate partner from the Geneva Historical Symposium. We've spent 10 years analyzing authoritarian regimes. Morgan, ready to dive into Hitler and Stalin's deadly tango.
Absolutely, Taylor. These two leaders shaped the war's Eastern Front like no others. Let's start with Hitler's rise. By 1933, he'd transformed Germany into a war machine, fueled by racial ideology and expansionist dreams.
Right. The invasion of Poland in September 1939 wasn't just blitzkrieg tactics. It violated multiple treaties. But Stalin was complicit too through the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. They secretly divided Eastern Europe like chess pieces.
That pact lasted barely 2 years. Hitler's Operation Barbarossa in June 1941 changed everything. 3 million Axis troops invaded Soviet territory, the largest military operation in history.
Stalin was caught off guard. His purges had weakened the Red Army. Yet, the Soviets absorbed horrific losses. The Battle of Stalingrad became the turning point, over 2 million casualties. But Germany's Sixth Army surrendered in February 1943.
Military historians still debate, was it Soviet resilience or Hitler's overreach? The Eastern Front accounted for 80% of German casualties. Stalin's scorched earth policy left nothing for invaders.
Meanwhile, the Allies opened the Western Front in 1944, but the human cost, Soviet deaths reached 27 million. Stalin's regime sacrificed entire generations.
Both leaders used terror as policy. Hitler's final solution, Stalin's Great Purge. Their secret police networks, Gestapo and NKVD, made dissent unthinkable.
The wartime conferences tell another story. At Yalta in February 1945, Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin redrew Europe's map. Hitler's bunker suicide in April left Germany leaderless.
Yet Stalin emerged stronger. The Soviet Union occupied half of Europe. The Iron Curtain descended, setting up 40 years of Cold War. How different from 1939?
Post-war reckonings were uneven. Nuremberg trials prosecuted Nazis, but Stalin's crimes went unpunished. His cult of personality persisted until 1953.
Modern memory politics complicate this. Eastern European nations now debate, were they liberated by Soviets or subjugated by new occupiers? These memory wars rage in textbooks and monuments.
Take the 1939 Pact. Russia recently downplayed its secret protocols, while Poland emphasizes its double victimhood, invaded by both Nazis and Soviets.
Technology changes how we remember. A 1941 speech, once heard only by radio crowds, now viral on social media, but decontextualized clips risk oversimplifying history.
Which brings us to lessons. Totalitarian regimes exploit crises. Hitler used Versailles Treaty resentment. Stalin leveraged fear of invasion. Their propaganda machines were unprecedented.
Yet resistance persisted. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, Soviet partisans disrupting supply lines, ordinary people made extraordinary choices under unimaginable pressure.
Military technology advanced rapidly, from V-2 rockets to T-34 tanks, but ultimately, victory depended on industrial capacity and manpower. The Allies simply outproduced the Axis.
Let's not forget the Pacific Theater. While we focus on Europe today, Hiroshima's shadow reminds us this was truly a global catastrophe.
Final death toll estimates around 70 million, more civilians than soldiers, a haunting precedent for modern warfare.
As historians, we must ask, could this have been prevented? The League of Nations' failure, appeasement policies, economic turmoil, warning signs were abundant.
Yet alliances eventually triumphed. The United Nations emerged from the ashes. Though imperfect, it's prevented another world war for 80 years.
Personal take, studying these dictators chills me. Their charisma combined with bureaucracy created killing machines. It challenges our view of evil as cartoonish.
Greed, which is why memory matters. As survivors pass away, archives and testimonies become crucial. We are the bridge between past and future.
Before we close, book recommendations. I suggest Timothy Snyder's Bloodlands for the Eastern Front Perspective. Taylor.
In Kershaw's Hubris and Nemesis, Hitler biographies, they show how systems enable tyranny. Thank you, Morgan. Listeners, stay vigilant against authoritarianism in any guise.
And join us next time as we explore decolonization's complex legacy. Until then, question simplistic historical narratives.